Hey, Carlos, you want to say something?
Hey, how's it going?
Spencer, can you say Peter Piper and that whole nursery rhyme, whatever you want to call it, tongue twister?
Peter Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper peckers peck pickles, I like pickle weasel. Pickle weasel is my favorite word. Weasel one two weasel weasel one two weasel. Why is the weasel in the hole? Get the weasel out of there. No one needs that weasel there.
That is more than enough, thank you.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So, welcome to the Dino Laser Podcast, episode 6. We've taken a bit of time off. That's the intro. That's it. I'm your host this time, not Spencer. My name is Nick. Over there is my friend Spencer.
You say that like we're across the table from each other.
And sitting next to me is my friend Carlos.
Oh, we on the air?
And yeah, so I thought instead of the normal time where I record with Carlos, only for us not to be able to use the footage, we would do a podcast because we haven't done that in a while, and I wanted to bring Spencer in, and Resident Evil 5 doesn't have 3 players. So that's more or less the entirety of this. Yeah. So a couple things I want to talk about. The first being the inspired reason for this podcast. All three of us have played the hit 2013 game Gone Home.
Are we talking about home?
Why are we talking about Gone Home?
We are absolutely talking about Gone Home.
Okay.
So we can go around
Did something happen? Did
we can-
something happen?
I
we
was
can,
about to
no,
say,
no, no. We can. We'll get there. We can go around the theoretical room and talk about what we each thought of the game. So let's lead with Carlos. Carlos, did you enjoy Gone Home?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
You thought it was worth it? The 2 hours just it was pretty cheap when I first bought it for
Wait,
2
wait,
hours.
wait, wait, wait. Is
Don't
this
ask
gonna
questions
lead
yet.
to-
Tell me what you think of the game.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game.
Did you, and
I've replayed it once since then, and I thought it still held up.
okay, Spencer, what did you think of Gone Home?
I know exactly why you did this topic.
Spencer,
We talked
Spencer,
about this
Spencer,
well before.
Spencer,
Nick,
Spencer.
You and I,
Tell
you
me
and
what
I
you
had a private conversation
Spencer,
about Gone
tell
Home.
me.
How I thought it was the most pretentious, up its own ass game. Barely even a game, more like a interactive story, which is a type of game. People they like that if that's their sort of thing. However, I thought that it just had a very disgruntled story on its theming. It wasn't a very well put together narrative because it just led you in too many directions and left the rope of the story per se frayed. You're a son of a bitch because you're just trying to cause controversy like you normally do.
No, because I honestly, this is one of my favorite discussions of game. This is one of my favorite games to discuss. Only with Carlos in the room, though. And so yeah, is that about the end of your point?
Is the conversation is Gone Home a game?
No. But,
I don't enjoy that conversation.
so the reason I'm bringing up such an older game, and in case you didn't know, Gone Home is it came out on Steam. Was it 2013? Is that the year it came out?
I'll give it. Hold on.
I
You know what the cool thing about this phone? Hold on one second.
you gonna
Okay,
do-
Google. When did Gone Home come out? Of course, there we go. It's a little slow.
In the time it's taken you to do that, I just Googled Gone Home.
2013.
Yeah, I thought so. So, yeah, Gone Home came out in 2013, and it got a lot of controversy at the time, but we weren't really doing podcasts at the time. I hadn't even met Spencer yet. But separately, I mean, I had my own arguments with Carlos about it. Separately, I found out that Spencer also has some hot takes in Carlos's vocabulary about Gone Home. So I thought, what better time to do it than 3 years after its release and 3 years after I've played it? Then, So before we continue, just my personal thoughts. I my biggest issue with Gone Home was that I thought it was trying to be one game and then it wasn't. It was just a different kind of game. It frames itself in as if it's a horror game or if it's like as if it's like a really, really intense game. And it almost was. It almost was. But for me, it just sort of felt like they were using cheap tricks to make up for like a not very well written story. And if you haven't played Gone Home, it was free on PlayStation Plus for PS4, what, like 2-3 months ago? I don't remember how long ago. It might have been between 6 months ago. If you continuously add PS Plus games, then you could go buy Gone Home, theoretically. And it's got to be cheap on Steam by now. But the way to describe it, you're in first person, you're coming home, you could say you've gone home.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, that's too meta
I'm
for
getting
me.
chills. And your house is dark, and it's like a thunderstorm out.
I think...
No. I'm going to continue.
Okay.
You will have your time to speak. All right. Mr. Trump, please, you'll have your 2 minutes.
This is you. This is you.
So, and you basically walk around, and it's like it is kind of like, it almost uses a horror game format without scares. Except there is a few scares for no reason. Where, you want to get to one part of the house, but you need a key, so you got to go to this room to get the key, and then you're able to continue. So basically walking around and forth until you finally end up getting to the attic, which is where the game ends. And you find notes along the way. There are very few giving you details on your parents, but it mostly is an avenue to tell the story of your little sister and what she was doing while you were gone. I can't remember. Is she writing to her sister, or is she writing in her diary? Do either of you remember?
Actually, it's both.
It is both?
Yeah.
Okay, well, basically, her sister finds out she's a lesbian.
We're just trying to spoil the game.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, by the way to spoil like a 3-year-old game without
It's
anything.
no, it's
Like,
in case
I
people wanted to
understood
experience for themselves. I assumed when I said that they would have gone off and played. If not, fuck you. You don't need it. So
Spoiler warning.
yeah.
Wait,
no.
hold on a second. Actually, I want to get a consensus in the room. How long
2 hours.
is...
No, sorry.
No. For spoilers, is it a year, 2 years before you can just openly say, listen, you had 2 years to play it. Fuck you. I'm going to tell you this.
No, it's a case by case basis. For like an indie game, I think a short amount of, or I think it's, I guess for games that don't receive high notoriety, it's like a longer amount of time. Typically, I like to avoid spoilers altogether. There's at no point am I just like, oh, okay, spoilers are fine. If I hear spoilers coming, I know to turn something off, and I will go and either like not watch or listen to it, or, I'll go and play whatever it's going to spoil.
See, my thing, if I'm talking about it in public, like on a podcast or a stream or whatever, if it's a year, my rule's a year. If you haven't played the game within a calendar year.
I think a year is more than enough. I think the general rule for stuff that just comes out is 2 weeks. So a year is more than enough.
I give the warning, like, hey, spoil. And if it's like freaking, like 10 years old or anything, it's like, for example, I spoiled Red Dead for somebody. Like, I'm playing Red Dead on it. And I'm like, the game's 10 years old. Like, you had 10 years to pick up a PS3, shove the disc in there. You could have got it for like...
Maybe they were holding out for PC.
Well, I'm just...
Oh, God. Don't even get me starting in there anyways.
What happens,
I would
Carlos?
just say, for spoiling, I just always tell the person first off that you're going to spoil, and it's on them to listen or not.
Yeah, that's my consensus.
Just to be clear,
if it's 10 plus years old and I start talking about something, I talk about the ending to Super Mario Brothers 3. It's like, dude, did you know the last boss? You have to like Koopa. He slams his butt slams. Like, dude, I haven't got to the boss yet. I'm like, man, go back in time.
Just to be clear about the game we're talking about, you both called me on spoilers. That is 10 minutes into the game, 20 minutes into the game. That is very quickly.
You started giving us.
I guess that's true.
There's nothing else to the game.
Okay, so continuing now that the spoiler warning, from now on I just need to.
You went into detail.
From now on, I guess I need to do actual spoiler warnings, because talking about the fucking spoiler takes way longer than giving a spoiler warning.
Okay, anyway, continue.
So, continuing, she meets a girl. She finds out she's attracted to her. She thought she was a friend. She thinks she's attracted to her. They find love. It's great. I forget what happens, because it's been years. I forget what... It is her parents get upset. It is that cliche. I couldn't remember if it was something else. So her parents get upset, and she says she's going to run away. Now, this is my favorite part. The last note is in the attic.
I skip over it.
Yes. Oh, Carlos, don't ruin the moment.
In my recent replay, I will say I still really enjoyed the game.
Did you skip over it again?
No, this time.
So here's the problem we're going to get at, and we'll talk about it in a second. I'm just giving the synopsis. You get to the attic, and at this point, you think the sister is run away, or did they leave it kind of vague, saying she's going to run away, or
No,
saying it's over?
it was more the notes up until the attic point to more is like she's saying like I can't live like this. I
Okay, so
can't
that's all. Don't go
do
too
this
far into it.
anymore.
Don't go too far into it. So basically, you get to the end, and it's leading up to she's probably going to kill herself. And it's at this point I'm thinking, if they go through with this is a fantastic game. Because it's fucking dark as shit, and that's a very sad ending. But it gets a very, very clear message out there. And it's like a very clear experience. What I don't like is the Deus Ex fucking Machina they place down as the last note on there. It says, you know what? We just ran away. Who needs parents? We're fine.
Well,
I'm all happy now. It's okay. No, do not talk to me, because I remember distinctly that last note is so fucking happy-go-lucky where it's just like, no.
I'm just saying. Okay, never mind.
I'll let you get to it in a second. But basically, what my biggest issue with the game is it doesn't pull the trigger, for lack of a better term, and it just sort of shoehorns in a happy ending, therefore nullifying most of the experience. Like, there's no reason for the horror setting at that point. There's no reason for, leading it around and stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying it just kind of makes it cheapens a lot of it, because then it's just like, this is a story that's not really that interesting then. Like, it's about a girl who found out she's a lesbian. Okay. But that's not a crazy unique story in 2013.
I think well.
So here's the issue I'm trying to get to.
All right.
This is the ending that I saw. This is the ending Spencer saw, and it's the reason we don't like the game. Carlos up and down told me to play this game, not knowing what happened to her sister.
Because I missed a clue.
He went to the attic and he immediately ran to the end because he was fairly expecting her to be hanging or something, and he just kind of got the fade to white, and he just didn't he skipped that entire last note. So he basically created his own ending to the game, therefore changing his experience, meaning he thought they had what is going to be kind of twistedly called the good ending.
Okay, can I
yes, you can defend your case now.
Me creating my own ending creates like another conversation about how difficult it is to critique games, because so many people don't finish video games, and like what is an end state and all that.
That's fair, but not for a 2-hour game. You cannot review that without finishing it.
I know. But that's
I agree. I brought up the same thing to Spencer, where I said that is kind of its own thing.
Well, I look at the story, and having replayed it recently, I think we also need to look, one, at our own experiences. Like, how often do you get to hear a story about a lesbian video game character? Then two, when you look at the suicide rates of LGBT teens, most of them killed themselves because their parents don't accept them. And to even running away, that does still put a very large task on kids when they run away from their parents, because their parents do not accept their lifestyle.
I can accept that part.
I think that's still very dark and scary.
I don't accept the fact that they treated it like that was a happy ending. Like, if you're going to run away, fine, but talk about how it's because you're scared and stuff like that. Don't just be like, we're going to go make a new life for ourselves. Like, I understand that some of them running away might have that outlook, and it might be, well, things are better on the other side, but that's not how I felt the game should have treated it. Like, the game itself did not frame it.
Okay, how old were you when you played that game? I mean, how old were you when you played that game?
Well, what's -3 for my age now?
I don't actually know how old you are.
I was 21 when I played.
Okay.
Or 21.
How rational were you when you were 15?
When I was 15?
Yeah. How rational did you make? How many good decisions did you make as a 15-year-old? Who's never struggled?
I think before 15, I went through similar struggles, not with, LGBT stuff, but with depression and anxiety stuff. So I feel like I have a leg to stand on what I'm talking about.
But I meant more like, how many rational decisions were you always making as a 15-year-old?
But this is my point, where it's like, in her state, suicide would have been very believable.
Yeah, true, but in a sense, she's still making a crazy drastic decision as a 15-year-old to like
But you make
leave
it
her
seem like
household.
running away is the end. Is the end game. Like running away,
No,
she can
no, I
easily
still
come
think it's a
back like
terrible
2 days
decision.
later. Like it's not.
Yeah, but you also ran the fuck away.
But that's the problem with leaving it as an ending. Running
And the
away is
parent
not
and the
final.
parents and the parents never actually say if they accept her lifestyle in the story, I believe. But then again, I haven't played it. I don't have it on freshly on my memory. But anyway, why are we discussing?
Spencer, what do you want? Anything to add?
I just think video games have
I've noticed
ruined like
Spencer like he starts to talk and then he doesn't.
No, you guys were just having it out. Like you, I loved. By the way, just the whole exchange there. I love how Nick was basically just at his entire point. Carlos was biting his tongue the entire time. And they're like, hold on, Mr. Trump, you'll have your couple seconds to speak. And then Carlos starts speaking, and Nick's just like, I'm going to let you finish, but hold on, let me counterpoint.
That was the joke when I originally made it. Was that he is not the one who's like overpowering. That was the joke. It is definitely
anyway.
me.
The so actually Carlos makes a great point saying that everyone experiences the game differently, and this is actually one of those games where you can, because you can experience this game originally as a horror game if you actually trigger the right events, like pulling the newspaper out of the wall, having the bulb burst, and you're like, oh shit, it's ghosts, like she's dead, she's haunting this thing and everything like that. But if you never pull that thing out, you'll never know, you're just experiencing this thing. The thing that I said from the beginning of the show, where it takes it basically depending on what you're doing and what you pick up is depending on your experience, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. And my thing is that depending on what fray of the rope that you're pulling at to get to the end of the rope changes your experience. And you can pull on multiple frays, or you could pull on the entire rope, or you could pull on just one. But that's where it kind of falls short, because you're not getting this experience that you would get out of normal kind of walk-through adventures and everything, and things of that similar nature. What bugs me about the game is its praise that it got being the thing that it is. Like, yeah, cool. It talks about a lot of kind of controversial things, even back then. Now it's becoming more and more of the social norm.
I
To
just
have these
actually
kind of things
can I
in
just
there.
can I cut in for a second? I want to be fully clear. Like all three of us are very very pro LGBT, right? Like no. No answer.
Yeah, I mean, you're either outing us all as terrible alt-right motherfuckers, or as
I just mean generally from
yes.
talking to you. Like I know for a
Oh
fact
yes,
Carlos.
yes, absolutely,
I didn't.
absolutely.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know. Spencer's kind of got a dark streak, but no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, listen,
LGBTQIA.
I can't remember the whole thing. That's why I say
No,
it.
I'm joking.
I can't.
but anyways, let me run it back. So my big thing is the way the game was received, because the very first push of this game that came out was at a Polygon. Polygon's hold it in. Polygon, they're like the number one pusher of that particular content. You know, they're very pro LGBT and everything like that in terms of everything. And I have no problem with that whatsoever. Like, if that's your thing, if that's the way you want video games to go, in terms of that's the way you consume content, go for it. It doesn't affect me. It's one little bubble in the entire ocean of the ecosphere of video games. It's fine. But this game praise originally started with Polygon, and the senior editor had a relationship dating back to 2000, I think 11, with the creator, invited them to her podcast a week before the senior editor was going to do it, and basically this game got a 10. I've never heard about
I
this
forgot
game.
that was Gone Home. I thought that was a different game. That's not even part of my criticism of the game.
Yeah, I never heard about this game until Polygon's like, it's a 10, and everyone's like, oh, I guess I have to review this. It doesn't affect my opinion of the game. I think the game is flawed. I don't think it's shit, but I don't think it's the greatest. It's God's green earth to dip your penis into the ink and sign on the dotted line.
Well,
But go ahead, guys.
Polygon's 10, they use 10s differently than most others, but they tend to give it more, throw around their 10s a lot, generally on something different. But I hear what you're saying, and I agree.
Now that I
would
think
say
about
the
it,
game is a bit overpraised, but I enjoyed the game because of the novelty, because I was kind of like, at that point, I remember just no game kind of was that short, either that short or that captivating for that short amount of time. I was like, ooh, I enjoy the novelty of this, and I think more games should be able to like take take the good parts of Gone Home, because I'm not going to say it's not a flawed game. There's definitely flaws in it. But I think I enjoyed the ambition of them to like say, we're not going to make a traditional video game, but we're going to try to do something like this.
Just to clarify,
I also think it's aged better than most of the games that came out that year, oddly enough.
this just to poke the fire, and honestly, it doesn't matter either way. But is Polygon the reason you picked the game up?
Me? No.
'Cause you are a Polygon reader, and
Yeah. Super Bunny Hop was the guy
I was
who,
gonna say I can't think of any other reason why you would have picked that game up. It's
Super
generally out of your
Bunny Hop?
wheelhouse.
Super Bunny Hop and Aaron Signal, if you guys watch those two YouTubers.
No, but I'm aware of them. Okay, so
And they were actually, that was before I started reading Polygon. It was after I found out about Gone Home. That's when I found out.
that seems like a weird time to jump on that ship.
Yeah, that and Polygon was still super young at that time.
I just wanted to bring
I was
it
beefing with them.
up because I thought it was an interesting conversation. Not because it's super timely. If I'm being completely honest,
Technically, it's still timely.
I like that we all have strong opinions on it, and I just wanted that conversation to be on record somewhere, just because I thought it was interesting.
Wait, can I segue into another topic real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Speaking of games that came out in 2013, Last of Us 2 has been announced, and I don't want to play Last of Us 2. I'm legitimately contemplating just not playing it, simply because I'm like, Last of Us 1 ended so perfectly, I don't want to damage.
See, that's interesting because I've heard criticism of Last of Us, what little there is, when you have to wade through all of the perfect game, Naughty Dog is infallible, about Last of Us, is that some people criticize the ending because it seemed like a 180 so that they could leave open a sequel.
Pretty much. I mean, if they left it, well, here's the thing with the ending, is because
Oh, also,
I'm
spoiler
trying to, like,
spoiler of Last of Us.
Okay, all right.
So
we're going
this
over
is
spoilers.
this is our spoiler warning. Last of Us is slightly newer and it's more of a high profile game. Not newer, but it's slightly more relevant and more high profile. So I would feel more guilty if I accidentally spoiled this, like Carlos did for me. So I'm just want to get that warning out there.
All right.
So when it gets to the end and, you know, if you're Joel and you're just going through the entire hospital and blowing people away and you're like, I'm a selfish motherfucker. Like, I need this girl. She's the only thing I have left in the world. You're going to kill her, blah, 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 blah. And also, but like the Fireflies, to my opinion, like I really didn't care because the Fireflies were their own detriment to themselves. They were just like, oh, we're doing this for the world when they just killed a whole bunch of people to get their way. But that's besides the point.
I think
it suffers from video game syndrome where it's like you have some ideas, but at the same time, it is a game. You have to flow it, so that means a lot of mass murder on the characters' end.
It's flowed into itself that's saying, hey, you like this organization wants to save the world, but they don't mind stepping over a few bodies to get it.
I think Last of Us is like one of the few games where I was like, I actually feel okay with murdering people because I'm like, every person that you come into contact in the game is actually terrible, and there's like, realistically, you can actually tell yourself like, I'm just as bad as that person, but he's not better than me.
I will agree. I guess mostly, honestly, that stuff doesn't bother me unless it's like really, really excessive. Just because it's a game. It's a game, so it's fine. It made a detriment a little bit, but I'm not like, can't believe I just killed 10 guys for no reason. Like I'm just like whatever. It's a game, but and I will admit I guess its reasoning is better than say like Uncharted.
Oh yeah, as much as I love Uncharted.
But what we're getting at is the whole game. Ellie basically is the cure for the infection, in that she was attacked or bitten. I don't know. It's not exclusively bitten, right? They didn't go the zombie route. It just
she was bit.
Was it bit or scratched?
She was bit. She was bit.
So she was bitten, and normally it's what, like 2 days to change, and it had been over 2 days for Ellie, and she hadn't changed.
No, it's a day. It's a day.
Sorry. But
details. She's supposed to be infected, but she didn't get infected, so she has some kind of gene in her body that would make it so that she actually was resistant to it. So the Fireflies were like, "Yo, we want this girl, whatever's in her head."
So
she is infected in her sternum of her brain, but we're going to harvest those stem cells so that way we can do some science and then give everyone an inoculation. By the way, it may or may not work.
Yeah, but that's not revealed until the very end. For the most part, and arguably that's not the most important in the game. The most important part of the game is the journey from point A to point B with Joel and Ellie and the whole relationship between the two of them. I'll give it that. That's like it's kind of like Mass Effect 3 syndrome. Mass Effect 3 is not a bad game because of the ending. It doesn't help. It can take away points, but it doesn't completely whitewash what happened. But it kind of like they kind of do a twist reveal where it's like, yeah, you're taking her. She's the key to the cure, whatnot. You get there and it's like, yeah, we got to kill her for this. And Joel's kind of like, no. And then you murder everyone there, and you save Ellie. And then at the end, it's them standing over a cliff, going, "We're gonna be all right, kid."
Well, no, it's not. It's not that. It's she asked him, "Did you do everything you possibly could?" And then he lies to her and says, "Yes." Which I think is much more important.
Fair. I'll concede that point. But so some people have criticized that. Honestly, I just brought it up just to play devil's advocate. Honestly, I don't think it's perfect, but I didn't mind the ending. I was like, I understood the character's motivations enough. It didn't seem like Joel did a flip. Like you knew why he was doing it.
Yeah, I enjoyed how selfish Joel was, and I thought that was a very novel. Because in most video games, even if you do play the villain, it's pretty much like spot on that, like, you're the bad guy. Like even Spec Ops: The Line tells you pretty like in the loading screens and whatnot, you don't know how bad Joel is because of how terrible everything else is around him. And then,
but just
when it comes,
yeah, I agree. I think we're circling. I just want to say, I kind of agree with you. Where Last of Us did not need to be a series. It could have been one standalone game.
Now I'm just like, because I look. It was funny because they start off the PSX with the new Uncharted either game or DLC. They still haven't really made that clear, and I'm like, yes, I'm on board for a Chloe game. And then they end with Last of Us 2, and I'm like, no. And also because I'm just like, last time Naughty Dog branched off to make two different games at the same time. While Uncharted 3 is, I enjoy Uncharted 3. I do recognize that there's a lot of flaws in Uncharted 3.
Honestly, I thought Uncharted 3 had the best narrative of the first three, so.
I thought that too until I recently played, and then like they just dropped some plot lines just willy-nilly, and then you're just like, oh.
Yeah,
so
I
no
knew
closure
that
for
when I was playing, but I feel like every Uncharted does that. Or they're a complete game, but it doesn't feel quite as good. Like, I still think Uncharted has a pretty weak story.
Yeah, but I just think I'm worried.
But what you're trying to say is they were making Last of Us and Uncharted 3 at the same time. So you're worried about them making Last of Us 2 and the new Uncharted DLC or game, whatever.
It's like how much genius does Neil Druckmann have to be able to power two games?
Spencer, anyway, thoughts on Last of Us 2?
Well, that DLC, I mean, the DLC that's coming out for Uncharted is probably already out. I mean, it's probably almost done. They didn't give it a date or anything like that. That's probably coming out 2017. I've seen people like, oh, Last of Us 2 come out in 2017. You're crazy.
No, there's no fucking...
Even
they said there were 3 years. They said 3 years.
2008, people even like, oh, 2018. You're still crazy. Like you said, it's at least 3 years. They say, oh, it's an early. And I was like, no, look at that. Like, that's a finisher. I'm like, no, that's a small snippet to say, we're making it. Now we're going to go away for a while so you know exactly what we're doing. You just kind of leave that salivation in your mouth.
What is Sucker Punch doing? What is Sucker Punch doing?
No, I would argue the only game like that's been built for Last of Us 2 at this point is whatever tech demo level they're trying to showcase for E3, trying to scrap together, and that's about it. That is a quote, or not a quote, but that is directly from a Funhouse podcast I just watched where there is next to nothing on Last of Us 2 yet. I promise.
Yeah, they're not showing it E3. The next time they show anything is they're showing a date. Yeah, and that's something like, okay, we're ready. We're going to release that, and that's not going to be for at least definitely not this coming E3, and definitely not even that one after. I would even say
I'll go on a limb. They might be the one after.
I would, man. I don't know.
No, just one quick level, like just to show at E3. I can see them doing that.
Well, it's whatever. It's going to get delayed.
But yeah, how long?
Just like everything.
How long did they between when they announced the original Last of Us when the game was released? That felt like an eternity.
That's a good question.
No, I want to say they delayed it like the last 6 months to go.
Not delay. I just mean like the actual like, hey, new game to release.
Oh, Let me look that up.
Because I remember that
I'm actually
trailer
doing
they
it right
showed of like the ants and stuff like that, and like the infection like teaser, and that seemed so far away from the finished product, like time wise. Well, they do their research. Just my 2 cents. I
It
kind of just
began
think
developing in 2009.
2009, it was announced in 2011,
so.
and it was released in June 2013. So about 2 years.
I still don't believe them. I maybe announced as
Yeah,
maybe
2 years
announced.
from announcement to release.
I mean, like
Yeah, but
maybe
they started
announcement.
working on it.
Announcement
They
is
started working
Yeah.
by
on it in
announcement
2009.
they might have meant like, hey, Last of Us. From like teaser, I don't think that counts as announcement.
That's an announcement.
Well,
Is the
no, when
teaser
you
itself
say,
an
well,
announcement?
yeah,
Yeah.
if you, it's like a teaser that comes out and basically says, well, if they say the title of the game, even if it would say the title of a
That's
game,
what I mean. They didn't say the title of the game for a while, unless I'm remembering wrong.
No, they were.
I thought
remember.
I thought that stupid ant, not stupid, it was pretty cool. The ant like trailer teaser where they showed like an infection strain and stuff like that. I thought that came out before they announced like Last of Us.
They even put eggs or like Easter eggs in Uncharted 3.
in the newspapers and
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else.
Anyway,
Okay, anyways.
so Spencer, you haven't commented. Are you excited for it? Not excited?
No, it's 4 years. I mean, I was like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, all right,
Are
cool.
about the idea of a Last of Us Part 2?
Sure.
You're open to it? You'll play it?
Naughty Dog is the only company that could literally put something in front of me. Like they've put out so many good things, and they've said, listen, we take the time. We're gonna make sure everything put out. It's our name now is literal platinum. So if we put it out there, we have to make sure that we're holding it to that standard. So they could put Crash Kart Racing. They could make a remaster of that and say, we did it. This is it. Here you go. And I'm like, all right, cool. I trust you. Let me play this
I
game.
believe it's Crash Bash Team Racing, but whatever.
Listen, I never actually played it and everything
Neither
like that,
have
but
I.
everyone
where's
just wanks
Uncharted?
into their socks about it. So, yeah, even if they made Uncharted, like here's Uncharted,
God,
I'd be like,
I want Uncharted
yeah,
so
that'd be pretty
bad.
cool.
I want Uncharted just so they do it. Like I'll never play it, but I'll fully appreciate it. Personally, I don't think Naughty Dog is like gold, can't do no wrong. All of the Uncharted games and Last of Us I thought were good games, but they never really quite reached that like this is amazing type experience for me. They had really cool cinematic stuff, and the story like kept me gripped sometimes, usually after like trying a second or third attempt. But they've never been like that developer in my eyes. But I'll appreciate it, I guess. Like they'll release a solid game, but I'm not like, fucking I gotta go pre-order at GameStop now.
Well, I don't pre-order anything to be perfectly honest, but
It was metaphorical. I'm not pre-ordering shit
I'm just saying, like, would you go pre-order it? And I'll be like, no, because the game's,
Well, I wouldn't pre-order.
if I pre-order games, if the
different
game's like
reasons.
3 years away. It's the same thing like with Death Stranding. Everyone's like super hyped about it. Like nobody knows what the fuck that game is about.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, but
Everyone's
that's
like, it's
that's the
Kojima
best
just
part.
breaking into their socks again. It's just like, we haven't even seen gameplay, and everyone's like, I'm pre-ordering this game. It's like, stop.
That is actually the
No.
exact sentiment the same person who had issue with Last of Us 2 said about Death Stranding. It's like, it's interesting, but I mean, you should still be at the same level of hype you were when they announced it. Like, there's no
Yeah.
gameplay. Like, hype should not have gone up. You should just be like, oh, cool. Slightly,
hype.
very slight more information. I will say, since we transitioned into Death Stranding, have you seen the thing where they played the two trailers side by side?
No.
Yes, I love Kojima. He's crazy.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Carlos, if you play, I think it's there are
If you
videos
take the
there are videos that show them side by side on its own, but I think if you play the original trailer like 20 seconds in side by side with the newest one, they kind of like match up, which is pretty cool. Because Kojima's a fucking insane person.
For all of you who don't know what he's referencing, basically in the first trailer you have
Don't
Norman
spoil it
Reedus on the
because
beach.
let Carlos get a chance to watch it. That's why.
Yeah, well, it's whatever.
It's
Okay, fine. You can explain it.
I've seen both trailers. I just haven't watched them together.
okay. So what happens? In the beginning, Norman Reedus is on the beach and he's like, "Oh, I'm Norman Reedus. I'm naked." And everyone's like, "Yeah, all right, Norman
Crime
Reedus, get
baby.
at it." And then there's a crying baby, and he picks up the baby, and he's like, "Oh, this is my baby." And then he looks, he's like, "Where's my baby go?" When the baby disappears, it actually syncs up to the same time when Del Toro puts the tube in, and the baby comes into the little potty thing. So the baby literally jumps from one trailer to the other trailer, and everyone's like, ah! My big thing, the thing that I recognized when the Game Awards were happening, when they showed that thing, was the doll, the actual weird doll, is really more of kind of a fuck you to Konami, because that
yeah, with
doll
the
that's in the thing.
octopus.
Well, not the octopus, but it's missing an eye. It's a blue eye. It's got shrapnel in its head. It's got a plastic arm, and the baby is basically just like floating away. So everyone's gonna like, oh, it's really a stretch, but I kind of noticed that, and I'm just like, that's kind of a very Metal Gearish kind of looking thing there, very kind of proverbial to Konami. At least that's the way I took it. I don't know if it's actually true, but that seems like the most Kojima thing to do. Just a very subtle kind of. But I don't. This game's weird. We don't know anything about it, and everyone is just praising the Lord on above for Kojima, thanking for blessing it for his 2 feet on this world.
You know what's interesting? I don't get mad at people for praising Kojima. I personally am not like, I'm like, guys, we gotta wait. Let's see what it actually is. But I think the culture around him is more entertaining than anything. Watching people just like lose their shit over like every little thing he does. And I'm just like, guys, you are only setting him up to fail. Like, back off a little. Assuming he's fallible.
I mean, if you give him enough time and resources, he makes Shakespeare, makes really good games. It's like the same thing with Naughty Dog. If you give him enough time and resources, I mean, you could say that with anything. If you throw enough time and resources and everything,
well,
it will work. But sometimes
not anything. 13 exists.
I don't have a drum and a cymbal.
I would say the difference with Kojima is that he's now, we're allowing him to go somewhere without Metal Gear, and also
to be fair, he's not to interrupt you, which I'm doing. Only because I'm staring right at it. He's gone without Metal Gear before. I have Zone of Enders in my hand right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that was an experimental title, really, the first.
Fair enough. I mean, there's 2 of them, but fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I get what you're saying. It's glad that he can cast off his shackles and.
Yeah, and even if it's bad, I think it would be interesting just to see what he creates. Like, I think it would be, if anything, it's going to be some super experimental game that's just like we don't know how to wrap our head around, or it's going to be like I'm more worried, if anything, if it turns out to be very traditional.
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer?
But like,
how traditional can you get with a tank that's stuffed with guts and oil?
Yeah, but I mean, like, gameplay wise, like, I'm excited to see like how he envisions the gameplay. How, like, what's it gonna feel like to actually play? Because we saw how PT was this, like, you have to go and actually talk to other people to actually complete the shit.
Let's hope.
Or you have to be really good with guessing.
Let's hope that it's not a Metal Gear 4. Let's hope he's learned his lesson. It's not more cutscene than game.
Well, Metal Gear Solid 4, I think, is very different.
I'm not faulting in Metal Gear 4. I'm just saying, like, if you want to continue to make games, it has to have a little bit more mass appeal, and that is still possible without. I guess what I'm trying to say, that's still possible without resorting to that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, let's look at how Metal Gear Solid 5 is completely, like...
I would say they are 2 polar opposites, so...
Yeah, exactly, but I'm saying, like...
He can meet somewhere in the middle.
It's just interesting to see him, like, he's still challenging himself. It's not like a beef with Naughty Dog you could have made at Uncharted 3 was, like, all they know is big, giant set pieces. And then Last of Us 1 comes out, and it's like, ooh, wow, look at this. There's still, like, set pieces in that game, but it's not, we're going to blow up an entire town because that's what's cool to do. And Uncharted 4 even, like, steps away from that. It's like,
I mean, to argue against that, I mean, Last of Us is still kind of, like, it's more or less a guided movie. So,
yeah, but
even if it's not big set pieces, like, it's still following a formula.
It's more just changing how they're doing it. But I don't know. I think we're at a point now, other than, like, Naughty Dog, I don't really care for most games cutscenes because they're either poorly directed or the story that they're telling is pretty dull.
I disagree, but I play more RPGs than you, so.
But you know how I feel about RPGs. It's literally the problem with RPGs I have is like I get burnt out because I'm just like there's so much game here.
I mean,
There's so much.
that's fair, but I mean, it's just different types. You said kind of a blanket statement, which is why I counter with that. It's just like
But I meant like
you're
for
kind of
me.
they're mainstream kind of games, like the games you kind of play, like Watch Dogs, Grand Theft Auto. I'm not trying to just aim at like shooters, but like games that try to tell a story and use cutscenes and stuff like that. Arguably, yes, they're not very well directed anymore because they're focused on gameplay. Whereas Uncharted and Last of Us and Naughty Dog in general seem to sort of focus more on the directing of the cutscene stuff like that, but almost too much.
It's more. I feel they have a much more cohesive vision as their game, and that they want it to feel like you're in a movie at all times. But anyway, are we gonna talk about Watch Dogs 2 this week?
No, because you're the only one who's played it.
Uh, Are we gonna? Do we have like a preview round of what we're feeling for Game of the Year?
Oh yeah, that's right. This was supposed to be like the pregame to the Game of the Year podcast.
Am I the only one that came prepared for Game of the Year talk?
No,
Yeah,
because
I
we
mean-
talked about it together. Like,
You mean separately?
no, I mean with Spencer, I had a conversation about discussing a Game of the Year podcast.
Okay.
So no, you're not the only one who came prepared. It's just like this is not the Game of the Year podcast yet, though.
Oh, well, I have my nominees ready and everything, and I was just going to shoot from the hip and see. It looks like now I actually have to make a choice on things, so... God.
Say what you were
I think it's
saying?
going to be interesting because I think all of us have played different games, which is gonna
I
it's gonna
think-
make
I think last
that
year-
happened last year too, actually. But it's gonna
Well,
be.
that was,
think there was
that
more
was the
overlap.
great... That was the great discussion about last year, is that we all played different things. It was only games that we played that we could nominate. So we couldn't sit here and be like, oh, I haven't played Doom yet, but, I think Doom should win Game of the Year. It's
No,
like,
but the problem
no, it shouldn't work
the
that
problem
way.
then became all three of us, and this happened for a Game of the Year. Is this is my Game of the Year. This is why it's amazing, and then just kind of like neither of the other two could add anything because they hadn't played it.
We should include the award. Still not a good game. Games you went back to see if they were good, and they're still just not good.
Okay, so it's gone home.
I was just gonna
No,
say,
it's-
are we gonna talk about Gone Home again?
It's Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight. I've replayed that game 3 times.
Why? You hate it?
I don't want to hate it. It's like I have an abusive boyfriend. And
I was
just
about to say.
I keep
Hold
giving
on,
him a chance.
hold on,
It's
hold
like
on,
you
hold
have
on,
an
hold on.
ex- You just
Hold
have an
on.
ex-boyfriend, and the boyfriend just treats you like shit.
My-
and
my-
you're just like, I still love you, boo.
My question is, why did both of you go to boyfriend? You can have an abusive girlfriend too.
Because
This
it's
is true.
Carlos.
Yeah.
I'm just like he's straight. Like why? Whatever. Yeah, I think we've got some ideas of Game of the Year mulling around in our head. We can announce the categories, I guess. We have those written out somewhere, don't we, Spencer?
I actually have them in front of me right now.
Oh,
Do you
how
want me to-
convenient.
would you like for me to read them for you?
In a second. So, Carlos, do you actually
fuck me.
do you actually want to add games we went back to?
There was a category. Games. I'm fully down for games we went back to, and it doesn't have to be. It was bad.
Well,
it can be.
I don't really
games
need
we
to
went
ask.
back
I don't really need to ask you because you suggest the category. Spencer, do you want to add that category? Is there a game you feel like could fit that? If a game you tried to go back to play and couldn't get into?
I'm pretty sure I could find one that I went back to and said nope.
'Cause
I
just realized
you
I
know
do
what?
have a
one
game for
this
that.
year. I have one this year
All
that I
right.
actually can nominate and actually would win. I feel so bad for it. Actually, I can do it right now if you want me to.
Just preview it because then I can preview mine without
so-
going into the conversation because it is a category.
This game that I'm actually going to nominate and probably win actually recently had DLC come out for it, and I went back to it. I have not played the DLC because you actually have to either buy it or get a season pass for it. And I'm like, screw this. I ain't doing that. It's not going to happen. But they actually did all of this meta changes to the game. They're on a certain patch, and I'm like, you know what? This is actually okay. So I went back
trying to
into
guess
it.
which game it is. Keep going.
And I was getting into it. I'm like, this is no, I like these changes. It's okay. And I sat there. I'm like, all right, I'm done. And everyone's like, no, you gotta go get the DLC. And I'm like, I shouldn't have to buy the DLC to make the single player game good. You should be changing what I bought, not changing or making me change to buy more. So that's as much of a preview I'm going to give you, and then I'll go into a massive detail about it because I am upset, delighted, and I feel sorrow.
At this
all
point,
the same
that's a great preview, and you don't have to explain why you feel so much for this. Tell me the name of the fucking game, because it's going to bother me for however long.
I'll tell you off.
All right. I'll accept
Wait,
that.
can I get another...
Actually, you know what? No, just give him give him the preview.
I tell you off screen.
No, because Carlos named
You're the worst DJ ever. You got to give him the hook.
The reason I'm going to say it is because Carlos named his, and I'm about to name mine. Their hook is the categories for Game of the Year.
Oh, wait, actually... Yeah,
or not just Game of the Year, but our categories in general. That's the hook.
Oh, so wait. So the category... So what's the one that we're doing? So
Carlos wants to add games you went back to see if you would like it, and you didn't. I don't know a better way to say that. Games that are still shit. or just plain
can we
still...
call it the Polish Turd Award?
I was right all along.
Can you
No, that's something.
Can
that's
you specifically
something back to, and it's still good.
Can you specifically call it the Carlos was right award?
No, because Carlos wasn't right. Because he went back to it, and it was still bad.
Yeah, exactly. He thought it was bad. He went back. It's still bad.
I personally like Polish a Turd better. Because Carlos was right. Because he wasn't right though.
Can we call it?
I would rather name something Carlos was right, and he was right about something.
Can we call it the alt-right award?
No, it's too topical. We can't do that. So
the neo-Nazi game of the year.
So whatever name we're gonna call this, Polish the Turd game you went back to, and it's still crap. That's added in there.
Just tell me
going down the list.
Just tell me Just tell me what game it was, because I want to talk about.
No, I'm not telling you what it is.
Fine.
I'll tell you afterward.
Fine.
Again, I don't want to reveal it. We'll get the hook. You gotta
Fine.
You gotta get the people listening to the channel, to the podcast, and they go, "I gotta tune in." What was the game? I think I know what it was, but I don't have.
I know what a hook is, Spencer.
Just go hook it.
Okay.
So the categories are
no. Wait. I just wanted to. There was one other I wanted to add. I just wanted to make sure ahead of time. Did we have the category for game that wasn't released this year, but we finally got a chance to play?
That's what actually I was going to say. We did that last year, and I really liked that one.
Yeah. I don't remember if we included it when we went over because we came up with 5 categories.
There was only 5 categories, so now there's 7.
Okay.
Polish a Turd. What did we call it last year?
I don't know. You're the Google Doc.
I can look into it
somewhere.
Well, it's we can go back to the podcast because
let's just call it Hidden Gem Award. I don't know.
No, Past Relic.
Past Relic.
Finally got to it.
Whatever. Finally got to it. Past Relic. We gave it a name last time. I'll look at the podcast. So there's that worst game.
Right.
Best gameplay.
I definitely want worst game as a category because to me that's hilarious.
So worst game. So I want to define this with you.
Right. I was just about to explain that. Worst game is not like say there are 5 games you really like. Worst game is not the worst of those. Worst game is a game you fucking hated and would come nowhere near your best of awards.
Ooh. Very tough.
I have like 4. There's 4 games.
You're gonna have to narrow down the turds.
Is this like terrible in terms of gameplay, like in terms of mechanics, or is this like I hate this game with a mother effing passion, and I would never even put it next. Experience. I would never let it date my daughter.
Yes, that's racist. That's racist.
I have another award. We should have.
Oh my God, we don't need this many awards.
Okay, last one. Best game of last year.
No,
the game.
That's the same difference as the hit. That's the same.
Rejected.
No. The difference is like you're now comparing it to the game you named Game of the Year last year.
And I will tell you why. Because, well, that's a fair reason. But no, because
too many categories.
Yeah, you're smart, but shut up. Listen.
I like the idea, but it doesn't make the cut. Or we can cut one of the ones we have. Like I think we have a couple like almost redundant ones where best game and like
best soundtrack.
We have best game and then like best gameplay.
No, those are 2 totally separate things. Okay. Game is overall, gameplay is best gameplay.
All right, so go through the categories. Actually, just announcing the ones we have first, Past Relic, and then I don't like the name Polish Turd. That is a working title. But
working title award.
The working title award is fine.
Worst game, which is basically what game, like I said, you would never let anywhere near your top 10 games.
You have so much regret you spent money on it, so much regret you paid for it. And so much regret you played it. Wasted time you're not getting back on it.
There's one game that I feel like I just have to buy because I know I'm going to hate it. And I have to put it on this list. And I might even break the rules because it's so... I hate it with a malice. such a malice. And
Right.
I'll tell it later, and we'll discuss it. And then if I can put it in there, great. Next one, best gameplay. Obviously, what game had the best mechanics, the best gameplay, in terms of actual moving the character, etc., etc. Best story is self-explanatory. What game moved you, produced you into the feels. Out of Nowhere is basically a game. Now, do we want a game or game moment? Do we want to put them together, or is it just game?
Um,
This is actually, because we could actually really broaden this out.
so as it stands, the Out of Nowhere category is a game you were not expecting to be that good, and it turned out to be amazing. Correct?
Yes.
I like the idea of this category, but last year when we did that, weren't all of our Out of Nowheres the winner of Game of the Year?
What was our game of the year last year?
I think Carlos's was Metal Gear Solid 5.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm original.
I think mine was Final Fantasy Heaven's Ward. I don't remember what yours was.
It wasn't either of those, and I don't
I
remember
know
it being
that.
my Out of Nowhere. I don't remember it being my Out of Nowhere either.
Just to break things up, let's make Out of Nowhere. It can be a moment in gaming.
Okay, so any moment and any game during this year
Something that
feel
caught
like
you off
just
guard
kicked
and
in
you
the
were
balls and was like, hi.
And you were just like, oh yes, I enjoyed that.
Okay. And then the obvious game of the year.
Game Goatee of all time.
The Cody of all time this year.
Carlos, do you agree with those categories? Can you scrounge up some stuff? Spencer will be very kind enough to type those out so you can have a list in front of you.
We had a really fun category last year that I can't remember. Isn't the Back in the Oven award?
Oh, I forgot about that one. That was one Spencer came up with.
Back in the oven.
That was one.
Forgot about
That was one that would have been perfect if they had just like thrown it back in for like a little bit longer development time. I can scrounge one for that one, but do you feel like you have some that came out this year?
I have like 2 games that came out this year that I can easily put on there.
Spencer, it takes 3.
Oh, no, I totally can. I have at least 3 games in every single category for the categories.
So here's the deal.
The ones we made, I can scrounge 3, if not almost like have to sit there and go make some cuts.
I will allow this, but I am taking away nominees this year. We are not having any nominees for our awards. We're just going to, these are the name of the awards, and then when time comes, we will say what the winner is.
That's fine.
Okay.
Didn't we do that last year? Or
No,
did
we had
like,
nominees, and it took fucking forever to go through the nominees and do it. So we have to cut the time somehow.
Yeah, so that's fine. I like that.
All right. So that's good. And since we're adding awards, do we want to add in the best game last year we didn't get to? The more specific Past Relic one?
No, because that overlaps with the
I agree.
Past Relic.
I hear.
It's going to have to be your Past Relic is what it comes down to, Carlos.
Okay, no worries.
Or a game you didn't play from because I actually have some games that they're older than that, actually. I played this year, I'm like, oh man, that sucks. I really would like this game. Like I had that last year with Until Dawn. We did our podcast thing, and then I played Until Dawn. I'm like, oh, fuck. I really like this game.
All right. So that's good. I have one final thing I want to talk about, and this is something not gaming related. This is something personally related, because I feel like we need to off-balance the amount of games we talked about in this one for this gaming podcast.
Because every gaming podcast is like 10% games, and the rest like, so how was your day? Yeah, I ordered some stuff on Amazon Go. I got myself, so it's a really good service.
I have a question I think both of you will very much appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think you yourself are a pervert?
A pervert?
Wait, what's the definition of
I
pervert?
loved the hard pregnant pause both Carlos and I had there for a second.
That I absolutely allowed. That's part of it. What constitutes being a pervert in this day and age? Is it someone who, assuming it's not someone who commits a sex crime, because otherwise we have a few calls to make after this. If you are.
I wouldn't say I'm a pervert, because when I think of pervert,
Then
I mean
saying,
like someone...
are you perverted? Because that for some reason has a different meaning.
I don't even think that... Because to me, like whenever I say pervert or perverted, it means like someone's saying something or acting in a way that's completely against like the social norms of that moment.
So, in your opinion, no matter what you do in your private time, as long as you don't bring it in public, you're not a pervert.
Yeah, because I'm just like, that's as long as all people are okay with what's happening, it is what it is. Like, I don't kink shame, as they say.
Do you agree with
I
that,
don't
Spencer?
I don't yuck
No,
your yum.
I actually agree with that. It's that usually perversion, in my definition, is usually an illicit act, usually in a sexual manner that is done in public to somebody beyond their wishes. Usually, it's either a crime or it's like a
Peeping Tom is a crime.
well, I mean, like, usually all of them are a crime, but like it's an act that's done without against someone's will or without their consent. And usually it's as gentle as there's this man running naked out on the football field. That guy's a pervert because he's just everyone look at my willy, and then he gets tackled by security. And then there's the peeping Tom in the tree with a pair of binoculars, you know.
Or like a
I
guy
have
who
also
can't
seen
make,
Little Nicky.
people who can't make eye contact with like a girl because her boobs, like that. You're a pervert for that.
I was going to say, wait a minute, am I a pervert because I can't look people in the eye? Oh, boobs, okay. It's like, so,
When you're too distracted.
gotcha. So,
Yeah, but if you're with somebody who accepts you for who you are and everything like that, and you get freaky, and that I just more think of like when you're in private, it's more getting freaky than it really is being perverted.
so I agree. Just
Where the
clear.
fuck did this come from?
I'd like to know the this too.
So, I was in class, and a guy...
Someone called you a pervert?
No, not me, thank God. All of my things are deeply locked away. There was a guy in class who was talking about... What?
Come on, spit it
I
out,
know.
please.
He was talking about the logistics of... And this is my fault because I called him out on it. He called someone a fuck muffin. And I said, what is a fuck muffin? He said, someone who has intercourse with a muffin. And then he went on to describe it as, you have just basically just fucking a muffin until you come into the broken crumbs. And I'm just like, that's kind of like out there. And then he talked about how he's done it before. And then someone called him a pervert. And I was like, and I started thinking, is like, does it have to be that extreme to be a pervert? And then I was like, I know two people who are pretty dirty-minded. I can ask them about, no. So then springboarding off that, since we've established none of us are perverts, which great. Hooray for us. We did it, guys.
I have learned a really good insult though today.
Fuck muffin? You're welcome.
Listen here, fuck muffin.
It's worse with the visual. It's not cream filling. So, kind of to flip that, would you be comfortable, and I'm not about to ask them, I'm just saying, like, in general, would you be comfortable if you publicly, like, just admitted to people what all of your fetishes were?
No.
So
You know, it's
if
weird.
somebody-
I thought Spencer would fight that one more. The fact
well,
that
no, if somebody came, that was Carlos.
I know, that's
If
what I
somebody-
mean. That's caught me off guard.
If somebody came up to me like on the street and was like, "Hey," like, he put a microphone in my face and we're like, "Hey, we're doing this thing, blah blah blah," like, am I getting like a $50 Red Lobster gift card, or are they just asking me to like, "Hey, what are my kinks?"
Just what are your kinks?
I
That's
mean,
what they're asking.
if they're like doing like, "Oh, this is for like scientific study, blah blah blah," I have to sign for my consent, blah blah blah. But as long as it's not like going on like public access.
No,
or,
I mean,
like,
assuming
hey,
it was
just
on
give me a
public
pallet.
access.
Assume it was on public.
It was like
access.
as
If someone was
public
like,
as
"What's your
public can
thing?"
be.
Oh, I mean, you wouldn't go into depth. You would just be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm an ass man. I like me some booty." And
No,
you'd be
no.
Like, oh, you
But
like
I
being
mean,
whipped?
if they asked you what your deepest kink was, like not just like, oh, I like boobs.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, no one really is, unless they're absolutely no shame and have no problem being on like public access television and being just like, I like it when a banana is shoved into places where no banana has ever gone before.
So I guess that's the question I'm trying to ask: is do you feel like at least some of your kinks? Carlos has been so quiet since he said no. Do you feel like
I gave my answer.
some of your kinks, if you said them, would not be socially acceptable?
For me, no. I'm so plain Jane. I'm like a normal guy. I'm like, I like my curves, and that's it. And I like doing it this way. That's fine. I'm not like strap me to the walls, stick a fruit in my mouth, and tell me that I'm a pig.
So you're going on the record saying you are not into cat girls.
I am not into cat girls. I will visually play a game. I was actually not visually. I was supposed to say audibly narrate a cat game, and I will play it. I will not play the naughty version of those games. That being said, there is a volume 3 of a certain game that is coming out that I will totally play. Totally play. But please stop sending me cat gifts. Like, people, so I'll go on record. People have sent me like the rated 18 version, quote unquote, like gifts that are in the visual novels of these stories. Don't do that. I've seen them. I understand. Like, I look at them like, that's just 2 cats. Just that's going at it. I'm like, cool. Not like, by the way, everyone's like, what? This man's talking about 2 cats. Like,
See,
going,
my favorite part about this
NSB
is
or whatever it is.
you're both defending yourself and people who know what you're talking about, and incriminating yourself for the people who have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Which is
great.
a delicious... Like,
It's a delicious double-edged sword. Because that's why I said, like, people are like, why is this man talking about 2 cats?
to be clear, including for Carlos.
It's cat girls.
So Spencer did a thing where he bought a visual novel about dating just cat girl maids, and he streamed the entire game as starting off as a joke, and then he was just like, I'm just going to finish it because it's funny. And partially because of my fault, people may have started saying he was into cat girls because of it. I will admit 10% fault, generously. But, and so that's what he's getting at now. And so now that he can be on the record saying that it's not true.
It's not true. I do not actively go out and search for cat-made girls on the internet when I'm feeling there is a time and need to express myself in a certain way.
accept you.
Who did you say who touched you?
I said I accept you.
Oh, I accept you. It would have been better just like Spencer. I thought you were having an intervention. Spencer, who touched you? Did the bad man go away?
I tell you how my boss is a furry?
That does he walk around with a tail?
No, it's just he told me that one time because we were talking about fetishes at work.
Isn't your
'Cause
boss
that's what I
gay
do.
too?
Yeah, it was really interesting.
This is just like a curiosity thing. Are most furries gay?
No.
I thought there was a huge thing about like yiffing at conventions and stuff like that, and it was mostly dudes, but I guess my perception's just wrong.
Yeah. Hey, man.
That's called stereotyping.
Yeah, they can do whatever they
don't
want.
appreciate it.
Why don't you appreciate it, Spencer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't appreciate your tone towards an entire, like, just generalizing entire bunch of people who just feel like they should express themselves by wearing weird. Actually, you know what? You're right. It's weird.
No,
It's really
no.
weird.
My baseline tone
As
is
listeners,
No,
do
my-
not yuck someone's yum.
my base. What does that mean?
That sounds like something to do with gum, and I want to know everything about it.
No, it's don't yuck my yum. My yum, like what I find enjoyable, do not say it's disgusting.
Oh.
Gross.
That's surprisingly
I thought that was
innocent.
I thought it was like I'm a. So
I thought it was a yiffing term too. I was like, did your boss
That's
teach
what I
you
was doing.
this?
I'm like, if I'm gonna Google "yuck my yum" and I'm gonna
Oh my
pull up
God.
something.
Key
Oh,
part is don't yuck my yum.
But yeah, my
Okay.
baseline is I'll talk whatever. I don't give a fuck what people do. In general, like,
I don't care what you people do. I care what I do.
but no, just wanted to clear the air on that. Carlos, you got awfully quiet because I feel like I know most of your search history because you openly talk about it with me against my will sometimes. So
Different.
So now I'm confused on what could be worse than what we've talked about. Are you keeping some things from me?
Anyway.
No.
So-
Answer the question. Answer that unrevealing question. Are you keeping things from me? I can understand from the podcast.
The Lord is my
Oh
shepherd.
my god.
As Christmas comes upon us.
Anyway.
As a God-fearing Christian.
So, but I feel like we've all also been teenage boys and had that healthy take a lap
National
around the internet to
shit.
just see some fucked up shit.
Yeah, man.
Some PTSD-inducing shit, I'm assuming.
dude, I've been on the internet for so long.
Spencer,
like,
you've been on
nothing even
4chan,
phases me.
man. I don't even...
How long?
I've been on deeper shit than that.
You have been on the dark net.
I am so in the dark. I circumvented, came back to the light, and let me tell you, I've seen some shit, and nothing bugs me anymore. Literally, nothing bugs me anymore.
I kind of just want to have that conversation so that I can make it. Dino Laser Podcast number 6. We're perverts? Question mark.
They're gonna have to listen to what, like an hour
Yeah,
plus
they
of
are.
recording to get to the actual title.
But the thumbnail will be like a PlayStation logo, so it'll be fine.
Fair enough.
Oh wait, fuck, we did that for the E3 one. Damn it.
Yo, can I talk shit real quick about my boss?
Yeah.
No, because he's probably gonna listen to this.
No, he won't. Go ahead.
Now it's my supervisor.
Carlos, Carlos, as a business consultant in life, let me advise
Excuse me,
against this.
Carlos, don't take advice from anyone who's not Facebook friends with you.
No.
Let's just continue.
Shut the fuck up. My beef isn't even really with her. It's that her boyfriend voted for Trump, and then she asked me, "Do I like him?" I'm like, "You know my answer. You know my answer." I was just like, "Of course I don't like him." And then it turns out this man's a cop, so I'm just like, now I can't be rude to him like I could normally do if it was just a normal person. So I'm like, he gonna shoot
What
me.
do you mean you can't be rude to him? Why, he's just gonna walk up and citizens arrest you while he's off duty?
No, I mean like, hey Carlos, you walking away from the subway. Looks like you robbed this lady.
Oh my god.
He didn't rob this. No, what he's gonna do is gonna be like, "Oh, hey, Carlos, saw you walking to that subway. Oh, look, a packet of cocaine. Is this your cocaine? Probable
Don't
cause.
do that
Sit down on
anymore.
the ground, Carlos."
Sprinkle some
They
crack
don't do
on
that
it.
anymore. Now they just shoot you. And
They don't even need to do the cocaine thing anymore.
Yeah.
See you walking out of the subplap.
Eyewitness accounts show Carlos pointing a gun at the officer.
All he had was a cell phone in his hand. That's really... He was eating a pear. He thought it was a grenade.
All right, Dane Cook.
I think it's a quality joke.
You also think Dane Cook is quality, so I mean your values are skewed.
Okay, back the fuck off of Dane Cook. Here's my Dane Cook defense. Is Dane Cook a bad comedian?
Yes.
I'll say yes. But he's an entry-level comedian. He is not where you should stop listening to comedy. He's just the beginning point.
You know what?
He's-
I wasn't expecting to be swayed by that, but that's a pretty good argument. Dane Cook is a great way to get people into stand-up and then leave him firmly behind as they go further.
Like, no one's going to tell you...
Like middle
what you
schoolers
call
love him.
Yeah, as they should. It's base comedy. I'm not like. I'm just upset when someone's like, "He's my favorite comedian." I'm like, "So you don't listen to comedy?" That's,
You don't enjoy laughing.
yeah, you've just been laughing at the same jokes for the last 5 years. It's like if someone goes, "Daniel Tosh is my favorite comedian," I'm like, "Okay."
You know what sucks about that? He was one of my favorites until he got a show, and then I'm just like, he just took such a dip. He didn't have to try anymore.
Exposure.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to do one last conversation topic because it's topical at this very moment, and we were literally talking about it earlier today. But I guess I'll ask Spencer first. Spencer, you're a teensy bit older than Carlos and I. Mm-hmm. In that you found your first gray hair and we have not.
I have a bald spot.
Thanks for reminding me.
You say I have a bald spot?
Yeah.
That's fair, but that's from wearing a hat for my entire life.
No, I have a bald spot because I fell down the stairs as a child.
Oh.
That's called a scar. Anyways.
So, you went to high school at some point, Spencer.
I don't know where this is going, but yes.
If they had high school back then.
I swore on the Bible an oath that I would tell the truth.
Mr. Cicchini, did you or did you not attend a high school?
First off, thank you for saying my name correctly.
I had to correct myself, but I did.
Good job. Yes, I have.
So, being a bit older than us, as I will keep
I'm so
reminding
sad you didn't lay into that bit. I'm actually kind of upset right now. No, continue. I just wanted
Being
to point
that
out your
you
past.
are a bit older
No,
than
it's over.
us.
It's past. The
Fine.
time's past. Continue.
Being that you were a bit older than us, I was wondering, did you go to your 5-year high school reunion?
It's actually funny that you say that. My 10-year high school reunion was actually last week.
God, he is
And I
so
didn't go.
old. He's a full 5 years older than us.
Christ.
So
And everyone was actually mad because like, oh, you come, and I'm just like, I feel no need to whatsoever. But actually, I met up with all of my friends who I hang out with anyways. A couple, actually, 2 days ago, last night, I forget. We drank a lot, so it was actually really fun catching up with all of them and all that. But I didn't really feel the need to catch up with anybody else. If I do meet them in life, it was destiny.
So you fucking mirror my sentiments almost exact.
Speaking of destiny,
No, speaking of 5-year reunions, like we just were, or reunions in general, Carlos and I's 5-year reunion is coming up, and Carlos is 100% all aboard wanting to go, despite saying maybe on the Facebook group for some
I put
reason.
maybe because if I can't find no one to go with me, I'm not going.
Okay. But Carlos and another one of my friends have been vehemently trying to convince me to go. And I'm just like, no, for pretty much the same reason, where it's just like, anyone I wanted to keep in contact with, I can. Like, you know, if there's a meetup after, I'd be happy to go. But, like, I don't want to go with the general populace of my high school. Like, I wasn't even bullied in high school. Like, I was just kind of, like, there. And but I'm just like, no. Like, these people are stupid. I hate them.
You don't want to see if they change?
See, this is the argument both of you used, is that, not you, Spencer, but my friend who's not here.
You and the fascist.
Is both of them use the argument where it's like, don't you want to judge people and don't you want to see what's happened? I'm like, no, I literally don't care enough to see how they've changed. It's like they aren't even blips on my radar in my life.
Blip.
Whereas Carlos, you want to tell them your plan for what you want to do for the high school reunion?
So I'm going to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. And just be friendly. Be cordial. Until someone
Met
says
you,
something wrong.
and
I'm a cordial guy.
I have been your best friend for arguably since first grade.
I avoid hot takes.
And
with a passion.
your general speaking voice is that of, let me tell you what this is like, as you gyrate and do a bunch of like jerky moves. And you'll just say, this issue at hand is that something is like this. And you're gonna,
my Stephen A. Smith impersonation is fantastic.
you are gonna talk like that all night with everyone, getting progressively
And
drunker.
Zalis, I know you personally. But to tell me that I'm a ridiculous man is blasphemous. I believe I can keep it under wraps at the high school reunion. I think I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collected. I have a college degree.
Your sole purpose of going there is to start shit.
It's who I am as a man.
That's what I'm telling you. And why I'm worried.
Who is we to judge?
I am your best friend. I am in full territory to judge.
Well, actually, Patrick Stewart is a cop now. He could legitimately shoot me.
He mellowed out. He's a nice dude.
You know who mellowed out? Video games.
Are you upset we're not talking about video games?
I don't know. I just assume that everyone just tuned out at this point and was like, well, they're not talking about video games. Bye.
Nah, we want to sell ourselves as people, and we got to talk people shit.
You do that in the beginning, and then you lead back in. It's all.
That wouldn't work because then they would leave.
There's no ebb and flow.
No,
you just gotta weave in and out. We've been weaving in and out of this thing, and like we did the whole cross stitch, and it just looks like a really bad smiley face.
You don't put Undertaker at the top of the card with Brock Lesnar. You wait until the main event. It's a main event match.
They didn't do. You made a terrible example because they didn't do that. Then there was like 2 other matches that had to follow up afterwards.
They did that at SummerSlam and Hell in a Cell last year.
Oh, they're talking about like the original one. I'm like, you idiot! They did the thing and they sucked all the life out of the pay-per-view. Everyone's like, "Welp, this cataclysmic thing just happened."
The crowd got loud for Daniel Bryan again, but
That's because it's Daniel Bryan and he actually won the championship, and that was a good thing. If anything else happened, that would have been terrible. They would have rioted.
Batista won.
They would have rioted. They would have it would have been Roman Reigns all over again. We're not talking about this. We're talking about video games. Video games are my favorite video games, right, Nick?
I was really willing to get that to go. My ending was going to be, and if they hadn't tuned out yet, they definitely
are
in a
now.
wrestling conversation.
They absolutely are now.
But no.
like
That just means that these stories are for the real listeners, the people who are like, I'm going to listen to this whole fucking thing.
People who bought our shirts.
Yes. And these are the people you need to appreciate. Mostly because they're in the UK and Spencer hates UK viewers.
Why does he hate you? Is that because he
streams late, and usually people in the UK are sleeping, so they don't get a chance to see him.
Oh.
Yeah, I stream at 7 o'clock because I have a normal 9 to 5. And then on Saturdays, I stream around like 3 o'clock. So I try to get them in.
To be fair, 9, 10, 11 is pretty fucking stupid late, Carlos. I'm sorry.
I live a challenging life. I don't understand why you're mad at me.
I'm more mad at the system. It's okay.
Yeah, you can be mad at my NYU teachers.
So we have our categories for next week. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what I wanted to mention?
Wait, next week.
Not next week.
Next week,
Probably
Carlos.
like 2 weeks.
Next week.
I thought we were gonna do it over break and like meet up together, maybe get some drinks.
We could meet up, but we won't.
We could, but fuck you.
We could. It just won't happen. It is theoretically possible in the universe, but no.
Oh shit!
Stardew Valley comes out on Tuesday.
What
PS4
comes out?
Stardew Valley, the Harvest Moon.
Stardew Valley is out, sir.
Stardew Valley comes out, the definitive edition on PS4.
Stardew Valley is out, sir.
I know. I beat it.
The last
I beat it on
Guardian is
PC.
out.
Can we end on this note?
What?
Can we talk about how The Last Guardian and Final Fantasy 15 both released in a relatively same window of each other?
a
Two
week.
games, same difference.
I just
How
mean it's a lot more succinct if you just say a
two
week.
games that have literally eclipsed each other almost into the sense of Duke Nukem Forever. They almost were there to that point of just like it doesn't even fucking matter anymore, but made themselves relevant just enough to keep everyone's attention.
Do you know what?
On-
I had completely forgotten The Last Guardian was releasing because of Final Fantasy 15. So you say eclipse, that's more accurate than it needs to be.
But you remembered it though.
I didn't. I remembered it because people have been posting GIFs and shit of it.
Are we ever gonna get Half-Life 3?
No.
No.
Nor should we.
Valve downsized. They are downsizing.
They don't make
Their
games
company
anymore.
size is actually super small. They will never make another game ever. If they do, they will outsource it to somebody else to do it.
Well, that's what
Isn't
that's
that
that's
depressing?
my argument is that I wish they would just outsource it already. Like, let someone else take the reins. Don't let your IP just die. Like,
Well, they're trying to make another Source engine, and they did, and they're all used to using it for Dota, which
See-
I actually could have gone to the Boston Major this week, but I don't want to because I don't like watching esports live. They're dumb.
then why would you even bring it up? You had no intention of going from the start.
I just love
the
how
possibility existed. It
That's
existed
because
for
that's
us
all
too.
that Valve does now. That's all that Valve does. Just fucking Dota. More Dota. They completely just got rid of Team Fortress 2. They threw them under the bus. They made this big giant patch up. Like, matchmaking competitive, guys. It's here. And everyone's like, yay! And then it takes about 10 to 20 minutes to get into a normal match. They penalize you for leaving, which they patched out later on. And competitive is just god awful. It's just the worst grind in the entire world for a game that's been out for like 15 plus years. Like, now we're introducing competitive. Like, the ship sailed. Fuck you. Stop this. Make something else. Just don't make games anymore. Just stop it.
Personally, I would be excited for a Portal 3 or a Left 4 Dead 3, but that's just me. I don't really care about Half-Life or Team Fortress, but just
Yeah, so would I. At this point.
those are for me. I know Carlos
just
is still clinging to hope
this-
that Half-Life 3 will be released.
It's
Always have hope.
Hey, I mean, Donald Trump is our president, so
Last Guardian came out. You can't tell me shit.
that's true.
That's true. You can't tell me dreams can't come true in this day and age.
Donald Trump is our president. Last Guardian came out. 2016 is wild.
Okay, this is the longest podcast. Can we wrap this up, please?
We can. I just keep thinking of more thoughts training off it. But one more thing. Did you see that Gearbox is re-releasing Bulletstorm with like an added Duke Nukem
No,
level?
we're not talking about this. I will literally go into a half an hour tirade.
Oh my God, I'm
about
excited
how
for it.
Stupid. How stupid. I was actually
Oh,
excited. 'cause
Gearbox.
it
I
was
mean,
gonna be
Gearbox is a shit company, so I would fully
ready,
love to go
10
into
second take.
it. Okay.
Die. He's a product of an old time. Patrick Duvall, whatever I think is not Patrick Duvall. It's whatever his
Randy
name
Pitchford.
is. Just Randy Pitchford. Why do I say Duvall? Randy Pitchford just bought the license. He's like, oh, it's cool because it's a project of an old time because he used to actually have some ties there. And then he was like, oh, we're going to put it in the game. We're going to make Duke great again. And it's like, you can't make Duke great again because he's a product of a time. He actually wasn't that good. It was just that the engine that was around Duke Nukem 3D and it caused a whole bunch of like prowess, and that it was the catalyst to launch other games, and that's it. The character sucks. He's awful. He's a bunch of one-liners. He doesn't apply into this world anymore with where you can tell narrative up and down the stream. The gameplay isn't even that good in most cases, especially in Forever. Holy crap, that was just, it was
I mean,
terrible
literally, you
and
can
awful.
throw a piece of shit in that game.
Yeah, the only good line, I'm quoting Jeff Gerstmann of Giant Bomb about this, the only good line that ever sticks out to me him and also to me is you reach into a toilet and you pick up a piece of poo and goes, oh God, why am I doing this? That's the only thing that sticks out to me because it was like the one line and it's like, yeah, why are you doing this? Someone had to program that. Someone spent time for you and you had to narrate that voice of like, oh God, why am I picking up shit? And it's a metaphor for Duke Nukem. That's it. That's my hot take. I'm out. I'm not saying anything else.
Fair enough.
The rest of the stream podcast, same difference.
So I enjoyed this, and I think we should start doing it more often. But that's what we said the last one.
Every time.
I know. We said that last time, and that was in the summer. So
yeah, we were actually going pretty well though. We were like doing every 2 weeks.
well, that was a difficult time for me. So now I think we're all in better spaces. So we'll see. Maybe no promises.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching or listening, I guess. Spencer,
masturbating.
Masturbating. Let us know in the comments if you're masturbating to us or what other fetishes and kinks you have.
We will not yuck your yum.
Let us know what you want to add, or let us know what you think of what we said. Be sure to timestamp so we can click and remember what we said.
Follow me on Twitter.
No, don't follow him on Twitter. Spencer, anything to add? This is like I get, you said I'm not going to say anything because it's the end. I'm wrapping up. Like, this is me wrapping up. Do you have anything you want to add to the end of the podcast?
Oh, we off the air?
I mean, that's really it.
Okay. Fair enough. Nothing you wanted to plug? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like,
Oh, you want me to do? Oh, see, you gotta have some kind of like really. There's no cadence.
I thought you would know.
That's all I want. I just want order, Nick. I just want some kind of rhythm and rhyme.
Not at Wrath of Zalis. Go to VS Related for that. I thrive on lack of
Yeah,
water.
you could go. You can follow me at VS Related on Twitter, or you can go over to twitch.tv/VS Related. I stream pretty much every day besides Sundays and Wednesdays. Sunday's the Lord's Day. Fuck you. If he rests, I rest. And Wednesday
Because you're
is just...
hungover from Saturday.
That's not true at all. I don't drink at all on Saturdays unless the times that I do drink. And sometimes
Except for the
Saturday
times I do.
Friday, because Fireside Friday, that's the normal time when I drink and I say hi. Anyway, so we'll go over there. You also go to videostuffrelated.com. That's a nice little website that basically brings it all together. I have a little blog there that I kind of post every once in a while. You also can see the Game of the Year podcast topics. Why am I reverbing in somebody's ears? I'll never know, because the production quality is awesome.
That's Carlos, and he's just very unprofessional, even worse than I am.
Super unprofessional. Could be wearing a tie and he'd still just...
I had to pee, sorry.
Love you, Carlos.
Oh,
I don't know why I
God,
ever took you
why
off
do
of Facebook.
why do I bring you here? Yeah, so, and you can follow Carlos at whatever his fucking Twitter is. I'm not going to link it anywhere. Just find him.
OC20 with a Y.
Not that you'd want to. It's mostly soccer shit. And Spencer actually has him on. I think Spencer followed him and I followed him, but then we have it so we can't see his tweets because he tweets so much. So if that's
He doesn't tweet. He retweets for days like a teenage girl.
I do tweet every once in a while, but I retweet a lot.
You retweet like a 13-year-old girl following Justin Bieber and all of its fan blogs.
Spencer,
except it's all
Spencer,
about political
I'm
things.
trying to wrap up the podcast. Do you mind?
Woke.
So anyway,
I'm sorry, sir.
that's where I'm just fucking with you. So that's where you find all the shit. If you want more of this, which you guys do, you said you did last time, and we're just bad at this. So it's not going to affect whether we record more or not because don't worry about it. But thank you guys.
We'll get better at some point. It just takes a lot of...
Yeah, maybe in years to come. But we will. This is definitely. We will have a Game of the Year podcast soon, and yeah, look forward to it. Spencer will link the awards somewhere. I don't know. Thank you guys. See you later. Say bye.
Bye.
Oh, bye. Okay.